towards the beginning of the month. We've been around since late last year. Our next episode's about to debut, and in fact, Nicholas, who's joining us here, he'll be introducing himself in a moment. He is going to be a guest on that episode. So if everything goes well here, so we should be seeing that in another week or two. So again, that's me. I'll be kind of hosting things today, asking for questions. And let's just go around the group here. David, you'll be, I believe, taking questions. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Well, I'm David Cantu. I'm with the pretty much the founder of Coaster Challenge. Been doing it for 5 years now, and right now my coaster count, I just hit 201. My first coaster this year was West Coast Racers for the year. So otherwise I hit my 200 coaster. Actually, it was West Coast Racers. 201. I actually went to Universal, so I did that little roller coaster over at Hagrid's.
Are you talking about the Flight of the Hippogriff?
Yeah, I did that earlier. So
cool. And then David, you'll be watching the Facebook Live questions coming in.
Yeah, if I see any questions, I'm looking at my main page, my personal page. That's where the live is coming from. So people have questions, they can go to my personal page, or hopefully I see them wherever the link is shared.
Yeah, if you're just looking at the live, you should see it there. Okay. All right. Thanks, David. Nicholas.
Hello, everybody. My name is Nick Guerrero. I live currently in Collierville, Tennessee. I know Andrew and David pretty well through Coaster Challenge, and Andrew and I through various groups. We both like cars and coasters. But I'm here. I don't have a coaster page or anything, just an enthusiast. But if you guys are into cars, I'm an ambassador for P-Car Talk, so if you have any questions about that, you can ask me about that. But otherwise,
yeah, P-Car Talk's a great podcast. Nicholas, you got me into that. It's P-Cars for Porsche. So anyone that's into Porsche, it's a great podcast to check out. Really high quality.
Yeah,
Thanks,
you can't
Nick.
tell by my background or anything, but I like Porsche a little bit.
All right. Mark.
My name is Mark Martinez. I live in Orlando, Florida. I currently work for Fun Time at Orlando Starflyer. I did actually get to go on a decent amount of coasters this year before the coronavirus happened. I did a California trip, so I got to go to Magic Mountain and hit up Disneyland first time. I think my first coaster for the year was actually Mako. I probably rode it the first day of the year. And I don't know, that's about it. I'm not part of El Toro Orion. I'm featured in a lot of those videos. Done a lot of crazy trips with them.
Nice. And I'll have to say El Toro Orion's a really entertaining channel. And Nick, I know you like watching it as well. Not necessarily safe for work, as they say, but very entertaining. You guys do good stuff. So, all right. And then we have someone who is just so legendary. He can't just represent one channel. He's got to represent two. So Austin, tell us about yourself.
Hey, I'm Austin. I moved down to Orlando last year to be near the theme parks. And I'm an Amusement Insider, and then I also own BehindTheThrills.com. So you can find me writing over there, or over on YouTube on Amusement Insider or Instagram. I love beer. I love theme parks. And that's it.
Already got the Iron Gwazi shirt. I love it.
And Gwazi shirt, yes.
And for those of you that have seen concept POVs for coasters that are upcoming, odds are Austin was the one that did it, because that's pretty much what he spends all his time doing when he's not drinking.
Yeah.
Or usually
that's usually what people know me for, yeah.
All right, thanks everyone. So like I said, we got a list of questions that we agreed to just to kind of keep the conversation going, but obviously this is very free form, so feel free to kind of share stories. Nick, I know you and I were talking about a little bit about something kind of offshoot from the questions that came up. So, and then obviously we encourage people who are watching to ask questions, and Dave will be monitoring those. So, and just so everyone knows, the idea behind doing this today is because of this crazy situation we are in the world, where every theme park in the country and most of the ones in the world are closed. And 4 out of the 5 of us either live in Florida or California, where we're used to year-round coastering and theme parks, which we're spoiled by, and we can't do them right now. So the next best thing is to kind of talk about things, talk about what we're looking forward to when parks return. And that is the thing to look at, is not to be sad because parks are closed, but to be able to look forward to parks reopening eventually. So, all right. So we'll just kind of run out of the gate running here and just start off with a hot take question. So that question is basically, what coaster or park, or you can name both, do you consider the most underrated? In other words, something that a lot of people think is not great, but you actually love a lot. Again, like a hot take or a dirty obsession, secret obsession sort of thing. So, anyone who wants to start off, go ahead.
I'm gonna throw Mack rides right into there. And
Okay,
Copperhead
so all right,
Strike.
you're talking all Mack, right?
Copperhead
Okay,
Strike.
yeah.
I won't talk Mack the whole time, but Copperhead Strike has like this legendary hang time that nobody seems to mention. Like 3 of the best hang time moments in the world, probably on the same coaster.
Yeah, I mean that first loop, kind of basically, so you kind of stall going through it. That is pretty cool. And
It's very
I
underrated.
I think Copperhead Strike is the second best coaster at Carowinds. So,
Like Afterburn more.
okay.
But I don't know. I would
So
probably
it's-
say like China Dinosaur Park because like no one's been there, and like Dynaconda is like the best coaster ever. So I don't know.
Austin, since you
Yeah.
like Max so much, I'm taking it that Slinky Dog Dash is your favorite coaster in Orlando.
No, that one is a pass.
Okay, all right.
You can blame Disney for that one. Don't blame Mack for that.
Okay, all right. That's a good answer. All right. So who else would like to answer that question? What's your hot take?
I would say, and it's starting to get some momentum now, but Dollywood. I still think Dollywood flies under the radar. It's very underappreciated. They have some fantastic coasters. An Aero Classic. They got some B&Ms. Their RMC, when it's working, is fantastic. Lightning Rod. So I would say Dollywood still flies under the radar.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. I've one of my favorite podcasts, Ride This One. 2 of the hosts of it love to dog on Dollywood and love to talk about how much it's awful. So I've never been there. I was hoping to go this year, next year, but hopefully meet up with you there, Nick. But I don't have anything against Dollywood. I've never been there. So I just know that lightning rods have a lot of issues, but it's been running lately. Well, up until, of course, Corona. But so, all right. Anyone else with their hot takes? And Mark, I'm sure you got a hot take.
No, like I said, China Dinosaur Park is a good one, but like I think everybody knows that ride Dynaconda is really good. It's just like it's hard to get to. But I'd probably go for a park called Sunakland and Nanjing and Nanchang. I'm sorry, that they had the Python and Bamboo Forest GCI and the Intamin Hyper. And like lots of people say the Intamin Hyper doesn't look too good because the hills are spread out, but I thought it was really good, and the GCI is like amazing.
Nice.
So it's definitely a park that's worth like traveling to.
Yeah, unfortunately, that was one park I didn't get to last
hard
year
to get to.
when I went to China. Yeah, I remember you telling me about that. Nice. All right, David, how about you? Any hot takes?
Well, I've been to 10 parks so far, 10 or 12 parks around the United States so far, and some of the smaller parks that many enthusiasts say are in the bottom toll, like Six Flags Discovery Kingdom, Six Flags America, King's Dominion. Some people argue about Carowinds, but I honestly think King's Dominion is pretty underrated. I think it's a great park. It's got a lot of potential. I mean, they've got some good coasters there. I mean, Intimidator 305 is one like my third favorite Giga, So it's like I think Cedar Fair is really like not giving King's Dominion its full potential, and I believe they had plans to replace Volcano, but they were going to put a flat ride and another big coaster, but I think King's Dominion, is pretty underrated. I had a lot of fun when I went there last year for the first time. So
Yeah,
nice.
It is a good park. I think they're like struggling right now. They like need something. I don't know. Volcano's really rough. It's getting a lot of hate because of Volcano.
I think that when that park took out Volcano, like from everything I've seen and from when I worked for like Cedar Fair, they would like everybody would tell me that like, as you can tell, I-305 never has a line. Like, we like it a lot. It's an intense ride for the enthusiasts, but like the GP can't handle it. Like, it's a ride they'll ride once. And that coaster was designed to like make people not want to go to Busch Gardens, to make them go to King's Dominion, because Busch Gardens gets triple the attendance King's Dominion does. And like, it was kind of like a fail from the standpoint of the general public, I think, because it's not very rideable. People ride it once and they're like, oh my God, that was too much. And Volcano always had a longer line. I know the capacity on it's like probably 1/3 of I-305s, but it still like was a way more popular ride in the park. And they took that out, and that was like the most iconic thing of that park. And that area that the crypt was in, the crypt just got taken out. Like that whole safari area, like in the jungle's gone. That was like one of my favorite areas of any Cedar Fair park.
Yeah, my parents would just
I-
stand. My parents would just stand and watch the crypts like forever when I would ride like Volcano.
Yeah, my mom liked that
And it's
ride.
like gone. Yeah.
Yeah, I could agree with you, Mark. I could agree with you more, Mark. At Volcano, it just is sorely missed. And yeah, that park has 2 launch coasters. You know, they've got, you know, Flight of Fear, which was a good coaster in its day. It's aging. I mean, I think it's still better than one in Kings Island. And Backlot Launch Coaster, that's like, you know, almost like a family launch coaster. I think they really need a solid, you know, like a really good Intamin, or yes, Austin, maybe with a mock launch coaster.
Oh, that'd be
like
great.
A thrill coaster.
No,
Put Copperhead Strike there. Please.
What's that, Mark?
I don't want to mock.
All right. Hey, Intamin's my favorite. Look at my background. So I'm fine with Intamin.
Yeah, but their launches like are terrible. Like, I like Time Traveler, but like Copperhead Strike is like, it's like a 6 out of 10 to me. It's like an all right ride.
Yeah, but I mean, Intamin, they make solid LSMs. I mean, look what's going into Busch Gardens. Pantheon's going to be awesome. So.
Oh yeah, Pantheon's gonna be amazing.
Yeah. Actually, on that note, I will make a little change here. Have a little fun. That's my number 2 coaster, Soaring the Dragon. That's Intamin. And that the launch on this coaster is just awesome. It's really what I experienced with this when I rode this a year ago. It really shows how awesome Pantheon really could be. So here's hoping it'll be something like Soaring the Dragon. Those launches are just super powerful, super fun layout. So actually, that's actually a good segue into the next question I want to ask. So let's make the assumption that parks are going to open soon, a month or 2, and all the rides that are supposed to open this year that we heard about, you know, starting last year, are going to open. You know, I'm not going to go through all of the names, but, you know, things like Iron Gwazi, Pantheon, etc. So let's assume they're going to open this year. So given that, for each of you, which is the 2020 coaster you're most looking forward to?
I mean, hands down, for me, it's Iron Gwazi. B&M's always been one of my favorites, but I mean, RMC is making a dash to first place in my book, and I cannot be more excited for that, especially because I haven't been on Steel Vengeance yet either. So I got a couple RMCs that I'm really excited to ride.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that, Nick, because I haven't been on Steve yet either. I've been on most RMCs in the country, but I am. Yeah, and actually, I'll just go ahead and answer the question because it's the same thing for me. Iron Gwazi is the one I'm most looking forward to this year. Pantheon being the second, although Pantheon I doubt I'm going to get on this year, but I love the Intamin multi-launches. So, but Gwazi looks amazing. So, all right, how about the rest of you guys? What are you looking most forward to for new coasters?
I really want to ride on Pantheon, like you said, and RMC Gwazi. That's in my backyard. So I know I'll get to RMC Gwazi. I'll probably get to Pantheon, I know. Because Peter and Mike are up there, so, and Drew. So I have a few people I could go up there to go visit. But
Nice.
I don't know. I do want to ride all the SeaWorld entertainment coasters this year. That's kind of my goal, like all the new ones. Like, I think they're all like very reasonable to reach. Like,
Right.
you could do another Magic Mountain trip, hit up like the dive coaster at SeaWorld. I already got the GCI. Busch Gardens I'll get to easily. I don't know. That's just my goal this year for all the new ones. And there's a lot of new international coasters. I think probably my most anticipated new ride this year, it's in Germany. It's called Fly at Phantasialand.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Bacoma's new
Fly
one,
is.
so,
I was
yeah.
going to mention Fly. That's definitely mine.
Yeah, I'm supposed to go in October to Germany if that's still open. But like that's easily my most anticipated ride this year. Like that flying that the Starry Sky Ripper coaster in China, that's in my top 10 coasters, the B&M Flyer. So if we could see like a flying coaster with like a launch that shows a lot of new technology and like new transitions and stuff, like I think that would be a game changing experience.
Yeah, no, I agree. And of course, Icebreaker is right in your backyard, just like myself and Austin. So.
Oh yeah, Icebreaker too. I forgot about that one. That's another
that was
one.
like a fun little family premiere coaster. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it'll be good. West Coast Racers was pretty good when I rode it recently.
Nice. Yeah, it's a real shame because this year is supposed to be SeaWorld's year. They put a lot of money. Each of their parks is getting a great new coaster. A couple of them are getting amazing new coasters, like, you know, top tier. And this year, 2020, is just destroying SeaWorld. Like their stock price is so low right now. So here's hoping that they survive. You know, even if it comes down to Cedar Fair buys them out or something, I'm fine with that. Just as long as their parks stay alive, because their parks are just getting better and better. So.
Oh yeah.
All right, David and Nick, how about you guys?
Well,
Actually, Nick, I'm sorry, you already answered. Go ahead, David and Austin.
Well, Emperor's in my backyard, so, and I feel bad for SeaWorld San Diego because that's the first B&M dive coaster to be on the West Coast of the United States. And besides Hang Time being a Gooselauer dive coaster at Knott's, but I was really looking forward to Emperor because I was like, finally, we're getting a dive coaster in the West Coast. Now we need a Giga coaster, you know? All the Giga coasters are all in the Midwest and the East Coast, but we don't have one in the West Coast that's open year round. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I was really looking. I was supposed to be like this past month. I was supposed to be in Ohio. I was supposed to be at Kings Island. I was supposed to be there for the Orion First Riders event and the Ace event as well. And but at least I got to experience West Coast Racers before all the you know, before this whole pandemic went down. So
Right.
I was really honored that, and Six Flags really treated me very well. I was part of the member preview, the media preview before the member preview, and they invited me to the media day, and it was a lot of fun. And it's a really fun coaster. So, and I'm glad I got to ride that this year. But I was really looking forward to being in Ohio, going down to Florida because I really want to do Iron Gwazi. Like, I agree with Mark. I wanted to ride every new coaster at SeaWorld this year. I wanted to go back to Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. I wanted to try that coaster you were telling me. I believe it's almost like what you have in your background over there. Is that soaring?
Yep.
Yeah.
Such a cool coaster, and the theming is awesome. That mountain is cool.
Yeah. I mean, I was supposed to be in SeaWorld San Antonio also this past week, and I was going to try their new coaster as well. So, I mean, I was going to be like Mark. I was going to have an opportunity to ride all the new coasters this year.
Yeah, that's cool.
Right. So, Austin, did you? I don't think you mentioned your favorite or what you're most looking forward to.
It is Fly. It's like so unknown,
right.
and I like the mystery behind it. I guess like you really have no idea what's going on. And this the
It's
seats like load this way, and then they kind of turn into the track. So I'm sure there's some kind of dark ride section beforehand, which is pretty cool. But and then in the USA it would be Pantheon, just barely ahead of Iron Gwazi.
Really? You're looking for Pantheon?
The stall. That stall
I
Pantheon like looks like it could be like the best element ever made. The stall looks just crazy.
Nice. Yeah, the layout looks really cool, very unique, but some of the trademark Intamin elements you'd expect, and we know that those launches are going to be great, just with the whole bowl launch. So, Soaring with Dragons bowl launch is just insane. It is so powerful.
We have that like air hill in between, like during the launch. So I mean, I don't think we've never seen that from Intamin. Mock had it, I don't think so. But I mean, there's like no air time on Copperhead Strike through that launch.
Right, that's true. That is true.
But yeah, like Intamin, there should be air through those sections, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That's a good point. So moving past, just the new attractions that are coming, and again, this is kind of one of those things I talked about in the beginning where we can talk about what we can look forward to. So, you can answer this based on, where you live, your home parks, expectations of when hopefully the quarantine will clear, which parks could open first, however you want to answer it. What do you think will be your first coaster that you'll ride after the coronavirus crisis and pandemic is over. And I'll start off answering this one for myself because it kind of relates to some things we were just talking about. Was really looking forward to this year to the Iron Gwazi Media Day because David, just as you mentioned, the Coaster Challenge, and you being, of course, the person out there for Coaster Challenge, that's your backyard. Six Flags Magic Mountain takes really good care of us as a channel. Likewise, SeaWorld here, like SeaWorld Orlando, Busch Gardens Tampa, they do a great job hosting us. They're really good with our channel. I've been out to so many events. Mark, you were my guest for the Tigers Media Day VIP event
cool.
they had last year, which was super fun. They did a great job with that. So I was really looking forward to Media Day for Gwazi. I'm guessing it would have happened by now, probably sometime in mid to late April. So I'm really hoping they still do that so we can get some fun ERT and get out there and be one of the first riders on the coaster. So I'm hoping that Gwazi will be my first coaster after the coronavirus is over. What better story than that? Like, what was your first coaster? Yeah, I rode Gwazi, like one of the best RMCs ever. That was my first one. It was brand new. So that's what I'm hoping for. What about you guys?
Yeah.
I don't know. Probably just ride a SeaWorld coaster first. So like Universal, but if Gwazi does open, I'll be there when it opens. But I don't know. Probably just something local.
Right.
Or
Yeah,
maybe
I
I've
think
been
so, too.
hearing like some parks are opening, like Alabama Splash Adventure apparently wrote today. I didn't see it personally, but they wrote that they're opening May 30th, and you could go ride Rampage. Like maybe do a little road trip out there to go ride that.
Right.
Or Over Georgia opens early because Georgia's already open.
Right.
Maybe drive like 5 hours to ride those coasters. I don't know. I wouldn't mind it.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, especially for you, Mark, or Austin, because you guys are, you tend to do more road trips and stuff. I'm not doing as many road trips these days. I just moved to my new house, and I've got a lot of stuff going on locally, so I'm not really doing much traveling, even road trips. But Mark and you and Austin, you guys are all about road trips, so I was thinking maybe you guys would wind up going to like you said, Georgia, because they're probably going to open first or sooner than Florida even. But so yeah, Austin, what are you thinking?
Yeah, if Over Georgia opens before things in Orlando, we'll probably take the necessary coronavirus precautions and head up there.
Yeah,
And then
nice.
it'll probably be Goliath.
Nice.
Otherwise, if it's SeaWorld, it'll be Mako, and if it's Universal, it'll be Mummy for sure.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So one of those three will be it, I think.
My guess is that SeaWorld's parks will open before Universal and Disney. One, because they're smaller, the logistics are easier, and quite frankly, SeaWorld needs to open. They need the money more than
I think
anyone.
Disney might be last too, because they're the ones that are going to get flat.
Right.
From media. Yeah.
Right. So actually, real quick, I'll just mention this. I was hearing a story today in one of the podcasts I listened to, Mice Chat, and Dusty Sage, who's the founder of Mice Chat, he hosts the podcast. He was talking about something which makes sense. I haven't really given much thought to, which is it's called basically blanket immunity. And it's not about immunity related to the virus. It's about legal immunity. And what he was saying is, given precedent, with cruise lines, given parks, right now, if any park opens and there's any kind of spread of coronavirus because that park is open, the park can get sued. And forget about the PR mess for the park would be disastrous alone, but then they're getting sued on top of that. So apparently there has to be legal precedents or some sort of law passed. And I've been hearing about things about, federally and so forth being discussed about corporations being not held liable for spread of the illness so that the economy can reopen. But until we really get a change there, I don't see the big parks opening.
I don't. In fact, we got Disney saying they may not open until January 2021. However, we got email from Six Flags Magic Mountain. They're predicting they're looking to reopen mid-May, and they got a whole new guidelines set up, and they're literally talking about virtual queuing, no cash transactions. It's all going to be digital transactions for food and merchandise. You have to order your food online. Queue markers and the queue lines, they're talking about redoing all the station area where only you have to go, a certain number of people can go at a time that are reserved to be on the ride. So they're already doing this plan. So Six Flags is in the works of, they're trying to get Magic Mountain back open because that's their flagship park. But, you know, if it's all up to the state of California, if they're going to approve, if Newsom's going to approve Six Flags to reopen under these new guidelines. So I'm curious to see
Right.
because from what I see, California is still looking to lift the stay-at-home order on May 15th. Now, I heard Ohio just extended it to May 29th, I believe. So, you know, so there's some states that are probably going to extend the stay-at-home order, and then there's some states that are, we already got states that are already easing restrictions. So I know you guys down in Florida, your governor wants to get back to work, which I don't blame him, but is it going to be safe? Yeah.
Well, yeah, Florida, we're going into phase 1 on Monday, but phase 1 is still very restrictive. It only basically allows retail stores and restaurants to reopen their dining rooms, but only like 25% capacity. Movie theaters, gyms, you know, things like that are still closed. Theme parks, you know, that's a whole nother story. And then phase 2, which is where I could see theme parks reopening. Governor DeSantis here in Florida said that is maybe weeks away. So you know, maybe this summer, maybe June, July, but again, I see SeaWorld maybe first. So
just to let you know, we are getting some comments, but Eva, Eva, who's our Midwest correspondent for Coastal Challenge, she also said that Missouri parks are opening by the end of May. So,
good for Silver Dollar City.
I'm hoping to make my first ride because my wife's parents are by St. Louis, so I usually always go to Six Flags up there, even though it's not the best park in the world, but Mr. Freeze still makes me giggle like a kid. So.
Oh yeah, Mr. Freeze is great. Yeah, good premier coaster.
She also says that Indiana parks are looking to open by July 4th, and then she wanted to ask all you guys from Florida, when are Florida parks planning to open?
There's no word yet. There's just rumors, discussions. You know, Disney's probably gonna be one of the last ones. Universal, as of what they said is they're going to be closed through the end of May at least. So, but I don't think SeaWorld or you know, Busch or anything have put anything out. Austin, have you heard anything, or Mark?
Not yet.
Yeah.
I bet Fun Spot will be first. I would guess.
Yeah, I think
they're last.
That's true. Fun Spot might be first.
And like Slingshot, like Starflyer,
right.
Old Town, like that stuff is gonna open, I think, first.
David, what do you think your first coaster will be? Probably something at Magic Mountain, it sounds like.
I want to get back on Twisted Colossus.
Oh yeah, that's a great RMC.
I miss that coaster. I miss that coaster. But honestly, I would love to get back on West Coast Racers. I love the underground, not just the coaster, but just the entire area. They did a magnificent job redoing that whole area. They have a new street taco stand, and they're really good. And every time I go there, I have to go there, and that's like my lunch for the day there. So I was telling one of my friends, I said, you know what? When Magic Mountain opens, I may run to the coaster, but I might run for the tacos because they were really good.
Nice. So David, are we getting any other comments, questions before we continue?
I'm looking. So far, we're good. I mean, Eva just had a good line of questions. So
okay, good. All right, so we've been talking about things to look forward to, things we're excited about. So kind of a similar topic, of course, like, you know, probably the topic when you got a bunch of enthusiasts together. So what is your current favorite coaster of all time? Like on your top number 1 on your list right now? Whoever wants to kick it off.
My number 1 coaster of all time?
Yeah.
Right? Well, I've only ridden 200 coasters so far, but the coaster behind me in the background is my number 1. You know, Steel Vengeance.
Nice, right.
This coaster is insane. Although the debate with me is how Iron Gwazi is going to be over at Busch Gardens, because that might become my number 1. So we'll see.
Yeah, the wave turn on Gwazi looks pretty awesome. That's my favorite RMC element. So yeah, but Gwazi is not going to be as long as Steel Vengeance. Kind of like, you know, basically like the first half of Steel Vengeance without the MCBRs. The question is, you know, will that second half of Steel Vengeance and the differences in layout, will that keep Steel Vengeance, you know, at the top for RMCs? We'll have to see. So how about, you know, the rest of you guys? What's your favorite coaster right now?
Mine, I get a lot of slack for this, but it still is Raptor at Cedar Point. I love
The ride's so good.
and
It is a great invert. Yeah.
that first drop, just like the way it swoops out, gets me every time, and I love that ride. I think my second favorite would be Lightning Rod at Dollywood, but it's just way too short.
Right.
But
Right.
Raptor still holds the title for me.
Nice. What about you guys, Austin, Mark?
I do
Vengeance.
Dynafonda probably.
Yeah, I'm like in
Fonda?
between. I like switch all the time between Vengeance, Time Traveler, and Wonder Woman. So I don't really know. It's one of those three.
Interesting. Nice.
But I really like El Toro, Skyrush, Intimidator 305. Like the Elite Intamin coasters are like really good in the US.
Nice. Yeah, that's the same story with me. Not the same coasters necessarily, but my top two are Intamin, Maverick, and then Soaring with Dragon behind me right now. Those are my top two. I just love Intamin Blitz LSM coasters. I love the layout.
Oh yeah, I think they're like awesome.
Yeah, I mean the launches are great. I love the quick transition, especially on Maverick and Soaring with Dragon where it bucks back and forth. Just Intamin has it nailed down to be able to do quick, directional changes even at high speeds like no other manufacturer out there that I've seen. So I just love it.
Vecoma's catching up though, I think. But
yeah, especially in Europe.
Know, like their newer ones though, like the video they released of that one in Vietnam the other day. I don't know if you guys saw it yet, but the trim on the tower hits so hard. Like, for example, if you're sitting in the front row and you started going down the top hat, you're already out of the 90-degree angle before like the trim releases. So like if it's gonna run like that, I don't think it's gonna be as good as we were hoping, sadly.
Yeah, what's interesting is Vekoma, they really need to be, besides Disney, they need to kind of, and here in the US, branch beyond Disney. Although the coasters they're building for Disney, for example, Tron here at Disney World, it's going to be awesome because, Mark, you can vouch for this too. You and I both rode Tron at Shanghai last year. And yeah, I mean, it's not like, it doesn't have like the most amazing elements, but it's so fun with the theming, the music, beautiful.
Yeah, it's a top coaster for me easily.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about how you felt, Mark, but the initial launch, well, really the only launch on Tron, it's a super long launch and it's really forceful.
Yeah, it feels like it's a pretty intense launch for a Disney coaster. And I think it's because you're in that awkward position. I don't know how fast it goes, honestly. I think it goes 50, 60 maybe. I'm not sure exactly, but
it goes like 60 or 70. It's not super fast. Yeah, but it feels fast.
Did you guys?
Yeah, it feels really fast. I was like, wow, like every time I rode it.
What's that, Nick?
Disney-wise, it's more intense than Rock and Roller Coaster. The launch.
Oh yeah, much more intense.
Oh okay.
Oh yeah.
Well, at least the launch is much more intense. It's fast. It feels faster. I think it is actually faster. You don't have the inversions though, like Rock and Roller Coaster. Rock and Roller Coaster is more intense in terms of nonlinear forces. Non-accelerative base forces. Just because of it has inversions and things like that. But Tron is all about the whole experience. Like if you took Tron, which is basically a Vekoma motorbike coaster, which have existed for almost 20 years now, practically. You didn't have it in the enclosure, the inside portion, all the theming, the music. The coaster would be a meh. But Tron is a perfect example. Kind of like Hagrid's as well, where the theming really adds a lot to it. And I'm sure Guardians is going to be equally interesting as well. Again, another launch coaster, but it's like Vekoma beyond Disney, and I don't think they have exclusivity with Disney here in the U.S. I don't think that's the issue. They're not building coasters like they used to, and of course that's probably just as well. They pretty much were just doing boomerangs and SLCs back in the day, but they need to bring these new designs that they're doing in Europe here to the U.S.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so I'm sure it'll happen eventually. So, Mark, I think you're saying Dynaconda is your favorite?
Oh, yeah. It is by far my favorite. I think those SNS 4Ds are like the coolest coaster type. SNS in general is like, there's such an underrated company. Like, I don't know. I got to ride Max Forest last year. I thought it was good, but it wasn't anything like the SNS coasters in China.
Right.
Like
right.
it doesn't deliver
Like OCT.
those
Right.
deliver.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think SNS is gonna they're gonna start taking over. I think especially with Steel Curtain, Max Force in the U.S. And since they're a U.S. based company, I feel like lots of parks are gonna want to buy from them now.
And actually, that's a really good point, because if you think about it, Steel Curtain last year, if you look at Steel Curtain's layout, it's not really an SNS typical design, like their air launch coasters. It's really, that is a Vekoma coaster, because Vekoma is owned by SNS now. So that is kind of a newer. What's that?
A big thing I heard about those new Vekoma coasters, I heard that the reason we haven't seen any in the U.S. is because Sansei bought SNS and they bought Vekoma. And Sansei's using Vekoma for the European and Asian market currently at the moment. And then Sansei is SNS is building for the United States. So apparently, I don't know. I think that we're going to be seeing a lot of SNS coasters. SNS is going to do what Vekoma can do, but I don't know. We got to see.
Interesting. It's almost like a branding thing. Yeah. All right.
Hey,
so
I just checked.
That?
I just checked the Facebook page, and it says that the content's not available at the moment.
David, what do you see on your end?
We're on. I mean, we got people watching.
Okay.
Weird. Okay.
Josh,
I was just gonna share a link, but is it Oh, I think it's a private group. Okay.
Oh, okay. All right.
Josh Mathis says hi, Mark. So.
All right. All right. So actually, the next question is very appropriate given our conversation here right now. And Austin, we already know your answer to this, but you can feel free to talk the praises. What is your favorite, for all of you guys, what is your favorite coaster designer and manufacturer?
Mac Rides.
Oh my God, Austin, I'm shocked.
I just won $20.
All right. So, Austin, you and I have talked about this before, but when you share with everyone, what makes Mac your favorite?
Family company, I guess. They're all they all interact with, coaster enthusiasts. What else? I mean, they do new things, even though their launches suck. They were the first to put that air hill in the middle of the launch.
Right.
And, they still do things out of the box, even though they're always comfortable rides. They're always fun rides, except for Slinky Dog, but move past the family coaster model. And they're really good, quality.
Yeah. No, I mean,
Copperhead
honestly,
Strike rattles so bad.
It does. The ride does have
and it's a new ride.
Yeah, all their coasters. But
Austin, you were cutting out there. What were you saying? The ride is what?
It does have a little rattle for being a new coaster. I don't know what's up with the rattle. That's just a Mac thing, but it's not an annoying rattle. Their seats are so comfortable and their restraints are awesome. So
right. I agree. It doesn't hurt. It's not painful or anything.
I mean, best restraints in the industry. I think I really like the new Intamin lap bar ones that come down. But I've only sat in them at IAPA, so I don't really know how they'll ride yet. But those are also good. They're pretty similar.
One of my favorite family style, non-inverting launch coasters is actually Manta at SeaWorld San Diego, which David, you and I rode that day we met.
It was my first
again,
time.
it's not an intense coaster. It's a family coaster, and it's super fun. That second launch is really, really pretty intense for what it is. So, and that's probably my favorite of the ones I've been on, mind you. My favorite Mach coaster. I need to get on Time Travel, of course. But
cool.
Well,
yeah, Time Travel is amazing.
Andrew, you brought up a really good memory of Manta, because I remember Manta was the first time I rode it with you.
Yeah.
It's my first time riding it at all. But that was before I even went to Cedar Point. And when I went on Maverick, for the first time, and I saw it from the outside. I go, oh, it's just a spinning image of Manto. We're at SeaWorld San Diego. And then when I went on it and how crazy that one was, I was like, yep, congratulations, you're my number. And just in Cedar Point, that's like my number 2 favorite ride right now. So.
Yeah, I mean, actually, it's a good point. Like rides like Maverick, Manta, Tron, they show that, the flexibility of magnetic launches and how, like with SeaWorld, they have restrictions on height, which is why they built Manta the way they did. But Cedar Point doesn't certainly have that. But if you look at Maverick, it doesn't really get far off the ground. It's a total terrain coaster, and utilizing, both Intamin's great designs that they have and elements combined with powerful launches, you can turn a coaster that barely gets off the ground to an amazing ride. So
yeah,
it's like Cheetah Hunt, other than that one element. So that's pretty much along the ground too.
Yeah, well, yeah, Cheetah Hunt is similar to Maverick. It's another Blitz coaster, kind of similar model. So, okay, so we know Austin's favorites. So, David, Nicholas, Mark, what's your favorite manufacturer?
I kind of said mine earlier. It's still B&M, but RMC is a close second. But the reason B&M still is just because some of my favorite coasters are done by them, how smooth they are. I mean, my first coaster was Batman the Ride at Great America, and I still remember looking at Raging Bull after they built that thing like it was like a mini god. I was just like, oh my gosh, looking up at that thing, how am I going to ride that? And still gives me a great ride, especially at night. And so B&M and Raptor, they're my favorite companies.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, B&M makes, they're the most reliable company out there, and they make really fun rides. Yeah, a lot of them are not that forceful, but there's still some that are pretty forceful and at the end of the day fun. So speaking of B&M, I was going to mention this earlier, but there are heavy rumors. I've been seeing it circulated in a lot of coaster groups right now on Facebook, but Austin, you, Mark, and I have talked about this. The rumored surf coaster that's coming to SeaWorld Orlando, hopefully still next year, probably be delayed another year because of coronavirus. Everyone's wondering what it is. It looks like another version of a wing coaster, but perhaps even with rotational elements like an Arrow 40. If B&M,
that would be amazing.
If B&M can take their reliability and great engineering and perfect the Arrow 40, that could be like a number 1 coaster in the world for many people. I mean, if they do it right.
Yeah, I think it would probably be the best coaster type if they could actually do it. And then there were like shipping documents or import documents that were found. I think the Coaster Kings uncovered them, and like the code was SF-A, which is like a new code we've never seen.
Right.
So, yeah, that's exciting.
Very exciting. Let's hope it still moves forward and everything, which I'm guessing it will, because there's already shipments and parts and track pieces, etc.
Yeah,
so.
I feel like they already purchased whatever it's gonna be. I really thought it was gonna be a more family-oriented roller coaster, like that. It's like a newer generation Arrow suspended coaster that it swings and like, because Ocean Park Hong Kong apparently bought one for like 2024, and like they have a concept art release of 4 different coasters, but it doesn't tell you what they are. But for the surf coaster, it shows like a drop and like these big 90-degree turns against like rock work. Like I could see SeaWorld getting something heavy themed like that. But at the same time, I feel like if they just got Icebreaker, like a family coaster, they're not going to get another family coaster. Like since Universal's building that Intamin Blitz coaster, like that's going to be like the best coaster in Orlando, probably the Jurassic.
Oh yeah,
like,
totally.
Everyone's easily going to want to go for that. Like I think that's even going to like destroy Mako.
But that's a good reason for them to keep that surf. If it is the surf coaster, it's a good reason for them to like keep it opening in 2021. Stuff.
Well, like if it's a 4D, like if it's a 4D coaster, I think that like I don't know. I don't think it's gonna be a 4D, but if it is, I think that'll be like so many people are gonna want to come for that. Just to experience that. Like, there's gonna be so many ways to market that.
Yep, I agree. Because Mark, you and I have talked about this at length. I've been on every single Arrow 40, and the 2 built by SNS after Arrow went out of business and was bought up by SNS. I've been on each Nika. I've been on, of course, X and X2 and Dynaconda, and they're all great coasters. But they also were built. They're 20-year-old technology, and again, Arrow had their limitations, etc. And really, SNS really didn't do much to improve that. So with B&M, their reliability and just their different designs, and just that German engineering is or just European engineering is just so good. I mean, I could see them doing an amazing job with something like that. And in Austin, with what you were saying, and I've been ringing this bell for a couple of years now. And yeah, of course, I'm biased, just like Mark, you and Austin and I all be biased about Florida, living here in Florida. But the way that things are being transformed, just in terms of coasters here in Orlando, and of course Busch Gardens, in Tampa, Florida is going to become a tour de force, whether it be with Tron, with Jurassic Coaster, with this surf coaster, with Gwazi, Guardians. I mean, there's so many amazing coasters coming to Florida.
And I think it's about time for that too, because when I lived in Florida, they hadn't built anything. I mean, we got that one at Universal, and I mean, I got there just after Mummy opened, so I mean, there wasn't really this big coaster build, and now they're just building at every park down there, and it's awesome. And I'm jealous, Andrew. I know you and I have talked about it. I wish I was down there so we could go do all this stuff.
Of course.
But no, it's pretty cool for you guys to be down there right now with all this stuff going on.
Yeah, we just got to see it all reopen again, and the parks start making money again, so they can afford to pay off these coasters, because otherwise we're not going to see anything new for a long time. But so David, I think you're the last one.
Yeah,
what's your favorite?
Really quick, Andrew. I thought I saw a story. Did Disney put a halt on all construction for all the existing projects?
Yeah, that's what I heard too. They're not even doing any maintenance anymore. It could be just safety related. I don't think there's been specifics as to why they put a halt on things. I mean, in a way, it would make sense to not do maintenance, quite honestly, if these rumors are true that they're not going to open their parks again until next year. Because if you do maintenance on a ride now, it's going to need it again, even without running it all, if it's not going to open for another 6, 8, 9 months.
Yeah.
So,
I'm just curious because construction is considered an essential business, and you would think the construction, like the Tron construction, the Guardians of the Galaxy construction, that's all still essential work, and there's still contractors out there working, and you would think Disney would take this opportunity to really get some big projects that they've got in the works finished before the public.
Well, you would think, and for example, Epic Universe, the story came out last week that's delayed by a year and they've stopped construction on it. And I think what it comes down to is these companies, it's just a fiscal thing. If they were continuing construction, they have to pay those workers, that same month, and they're gonna have to pay for materials and, whatever, PPE gear, whatever it is, that, ongoing construction support. And yeah, it's not millions of dollars in a given month. It's probably hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands. But wherever they can save money right now for their balance sheet because they're not bringing in any income, it makes sense they're going to hold off. I mean, let's face the reality. Okay, we're all coaster enthusiasts. We all know, when the parks reopen, we're probably going to be one of the first sets of people there. But here in Florida, for example, which is so dependent on tourism, the Brazilians, people from Asia and Europe, people from the U.S. that book their vacations, they're not going to come back right away. Many are not going to come back probably for a long time. They're going to be afraid, or they can't afford it because of the economy. So I think, Disney, Universal, they're probably looking at that too and realizing, oh, well, yeah, we can hold off. We can wait to open these rides because things are going to start off really slow for a while. So that's my guess.
Yeah.
So
Eva just said that that Jersey Devil construction is still continuing.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that. Yeah,
that's a good point.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So it seems like the big companies, the big parks, Universal and Disney, are really kind of not doing much of anything, and versus the smaller, regional parks, like you said, Six Flags, Great Adventure, they're continuing. And I think that relates to the difference, because Disney, Universal, they'll save the money now and they know they can survive. Disney's gigantic, Universal's backed by Comcast, and they can just go and slow and burn, and they can, reopen later, et cetera. So they're just kind of taking it slow, versus Six Flags, their stock is down tremendously right now. I think they're down to almost like $10 a share, $15 a share. And they have such slim profit margins compared to Disney and Universal, because their ticket prices, everything else is much less expensive. So like SeaWorld, Six Flags, they want to get up and running right away. And they want to, whatever investments they're making, they want to get those rides done because they have to. So I think it's a very different business model between, say, a Six Flags and at SeaWorld, for example, versus Universal and Disney. So, I mean, what do you guys think?
Yeah.
I think you hit the nail.
Well, go ahead.
No, I mean, I was just going to pretty much say what he said. So I thought you brought a good point. They're going to have to continue because they have to. Like you said, Disney can just sit on their piles of money, and Universal's right there nipping at their heels now, and Six Flags, they're always kind of up and down anyway. Let alone something like this goes on. So, they have no choice really.
Yeah. Anyone else have any other different thoughts about this stuff?
Just like back to Jersey Devil, we totally didn't mention that when we were talking about like 2020 rides.
Yeah.
And like that coaster type is just totally insane. So that's definitely up there for me too. I mean, but that ride's going to be crazy. I think. I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I mean, I haven't been on a Raptor yet. You mentioned Wonder Woman being one of your favorites.
And it's funny because Magic Mountain is now was doing some construction over at the old Green Lantern area, and they were saying there was a rumor of another Jersey Devil.
That's right.
Coaster that was supposed to be over there.
That's right. So yeah, but I haven't been on a Raptor yet, and I've had I know you've been on it, Austin. I believe Mark, you've been on them too. Other friends have been on them. Everyone raves about them. So. And I go to New Jersey normally when we don't have the world coming to an end, like it is right now. I go to New Jersey 4 times a year for work, and I was already planning, whether it be May or maybe like August, those visits to hit Jersey Devil. But parks aren't going to be open probably in May. I'm not traveling up there right now because of coronavirus. But Jersey Devil is definitely up there for me as well for one of my favorites. It's a good point, Austin. So, all right. So here's another question. This one's like my favorite from the list of what we put together. What theme park, and when I say theme park, I mean specific park, not just, Disney or Universal, like which specific park, and it could be, you could call a resort as well. Like you consider like Disney World collectively as a set of parks, that could be an answer, or like Universal Orlando. What theme park or theme park resort, if you will, is the best balance for you in terms of like everything you consider? Rides, flat rides, coasters, food, theming, the quality of the experience, the enjoyment factor, the aesthetics, the beauty of the park, just everything all together. What would you say is the best? What's your favorite?
You want me to go?
Yeah, sure. Anyone wants to pipe in?
Phantasialand has like the best theming. They have flats. They have family rides. There's not like tacky colors everywhere like a Six Flags or Cedar Fair Park. They have sit-down restaurants everywhere throughout the park. Their quick service restaurants are insane. And Phantasialand's in Germany, for people that don't know. Like the best theming anywhere. What else? Shows. Like their shows aren't just singing shows. Like they have stunt shows, and they have like ice shows and dinner shows. So Phantasialand for me. They beat Disney and Universal like easily for me, really.
Nice. And they also have Terran. They've got Terran.
They do. They do have Terran, which is like looks like the best coaster ever.
Yeah,
I went like weeks before Terran opened, but Terran and Fly.
Oh yeah, Fly's coming. Yeah.
Like, crazy.
Right, how about the rest?
Yeah, that's gonna be like a good top. That's gonna be the complete package. That park, I think.
Yeah, totally crazy.
So, like literally, my favorite coaster models are like the B&M. Like I really like the flying coaster B&M made. Like I think they're the only company that's perfected the flying coaster so far. And I think that's like the only thing daring they have. Like B&M plays it so safe. Like Intamin discontinued over the shoulder restraints. All that. Like they're only building lap bars on inverts, and B&M's putting these vests on like these inverted coasters that Bacoma's doing with lap bars and Intamin already. And like they have more intense layouts, like the Intamin and Bacoma one, and like, but like in general, I'm just saying B&M plays it so safe, and Fantasia Land. Vacoma's attempting a flying coaster that I think like might be as good as that. And that Intamin Blitz model, like you said, it's like a perfect coaster. Like has good transitions, everything.
Yep.
Like that park is going to be the best park I think in the world when they have both of those.
Nice. So Mark, would you say your answer for this question is the same as Austin's?
Actually, I haven't been there yet, so I can't say. But like,
Okay.
I don't know. Lots of those parks in China, like they had such quality level theming. Like World Joyland looked like a knockoff Islands of Adventure, and they had like a castle that you could climb up like stairs to get to the castle on the top of the mountain. I didn't have time to do it, sadly, but like that's really cool. Like you don't see that in the U.S. at like a Cedar Fair park or like a Six Flags park. Like you have to travel for that. But a few like Hershey Park, I think even gives a complete experience. So like Cedar Point, where there's like a lot of coasters.
Right.
But if you want a theming, like you're gonna have to travel for it. Six Flags Mexico, I think actually, that's a perfect
Yeah, I've heard good
park.
things about Six Flags Mexico. Yeah.
That park doesn't even look like a Six Flags. Like it's so detailed. Everything's done so well. It's clean. The food is amazing. The queue lines are so themed, like Superman. Like I remember you walk through like Clark Kent's like building, like you literally see all the desks. Like it looks like the queue of Spider-Man, literally, or like a paper coaster. Like it's so well done. Like I was in shock. And then it's a Six Flags park that's well done. I don't know. That park is pretty perfect.
Nice. So David, Nick, what would you say is the best park balance in terms of everything?
Really, the question should be if you had to take existing parks and build your dream park. If you were to take Magic Mountain, Cedar Point, and then Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, put them all together, you probably have one heck of a dream park right there. But keep in mind, I've only been to maybe 12, 13 parks around the country so far. So I think in the parks that I've visited so far that are well balanced, I will say Cedar Point is very well balanced. It's got a good lineup of coasters. There's a lot more to do than just riding coasters. They got plenty of flat rides. They've got plenty, they got petting zoo. They've got areas like a jungle area, like the Frontier Town area, where the kids can actually go they can do family stuff, So there's always something fun for all ages to do. Cedar Point, not just in the park, but outside the park. You got the marina, the beach. You got so much around the park, and they got good restaurant choices, good shops. The hotels are great in that area. Magic Mountain still needs more updating. I need more flat rides over at Magic Mountain. There's not over there.
There's not a lot. Yeah.
Like Busch Gardens, Williamsburg was my first time last year going there, and I agree with Andrew when he kept telling me so much about that park. The theming is so wonderful, and they have a great coaster lineup. I think they have potential of having even bigger coasters. I think should be going to Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. I mean, they're getting a really good one that was supposed to open this year, but I mean, the food there. I would say SeaWorld parks in general, their food is just phenomenal. I just enjoy it.
It's just what? I'm sorry?
The food at SeaWorld parks is really good.
Yeah, okay. I agree. Yeah.
I enjoyed the food that I had at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. I enjoyed the food that I had at SeaWorld Orlando and SeaWorld San Antonio. So I really,
Okay.
I mean,
Right.
it's hard for me, but I would say Cedar Point is more well balanced of a good lineup of everything so far that I've seen.
Okay, Nick, how about you?
I would transition from the Busch Gardens Williamsburg aspect. I don't want to bring up Dollywood again, but I love that park and just think the setting is very similar to Williamsburg. It's in the Smoky Mountains. Whenever we go, we get a cabin that overlooks the park, and the coasters are built off the hills and the mountains, and the food's fantastic. The shows are fun and fantastic, and they're always changing, and that's what's great. Every time you go, there's a new experience. And it still feels like a smaller park, but they have big, great coasters. I would like to see some good dark rides, but they have that mix, like where Mystery Mine or Fire in the Hole, those type of things are a coaster and kind of dark rides. But they have family rides. They have that new kiddie section with the new kiddie flyer coaster.
Oh yeah, Wildwood Grove. Yeah.
And like David was talking about outside the park, there's 10-mile stretch of go-karts, mini golf, anything you want to do, unique restaurants, and just the whole experience there. And the food is great too. I don't think it's as good as like Busch Gardens, but it's pretty good.
Nice. Okay. So David, your answer you said was Cedar Point, which I think that's a great answer. And if you think about it, Cedar Point has amazing coasters. There's no one can doubt that. They've got great flat rides. They've got great food. You know, you've not just got good, you know, things like the walking tacos and just your quick service is really good, but you got things like the Melt, you know, great high quality food and bringing outside chains and things like that. For me though, I cannot use Cedar Point as my answer because again, this is a trick question, sort of a tricky question, best balance. Cedar Point really doesn't have much of any theming. You know, they're a Six Flags type park at that level. So based on that, for me, my answer, it's a tie. And, you know, I'm not looking at parks in Europe and Asia. Yeah, I've been, you know, Disney Sea is amazing. And Shanghai Disney was great too. But I'm thinking kind of the parks that I've been to a lot that I can talk about. Here in the US, at least, to me, it's a tie. The tie is between Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, and Universal Orlando. And what I mean by that is, you know, yeah, Disney has more theming, more, you know, but they don't have really much of any thrill coasters. You know, they, you know, then you have your Six Flags, which have thrill coasters, but no very little theming. The food isn't usually very good, etc. Both Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, and Universal Orlando have amazing food, great thrill coasters, you know, good other rides, flat rides, shows. You know, Celtic Fire, I believe it was Celtic Fire at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, like the kind of dance review thing and the stage. It looks like it's a Disney level production. The Wolf Show is awesome. The animal shows they have. You know, Universal Horror Nights. I mean, the theming they do there, special events and so forth. You know, they're just the best balance. There's something for everyone. There's family attractions, flat rides, coasters, just the full gamut. And I think with Universal, with Epic Universe coming, with the Jurassic coaster coming, Universal, I think, will be my number one answer for this moving forward over even Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. So.
I think there's one park. I think there's one park we're all missing, and it happens to be in my backyard. I keep overlooking it every time, but you know, we got to look back at Knott's Berry Farm because Knott's Berry Farm actually has a lot of good theming. Okay, Hang Time, the whole boardwalk area, they just redid that area, and they did a good job with the beach theme and everything with the surfboards, and then you got Ghost Town, and then when you look at Knott's Scary Farm,
oh yeah,
that is probably like the number one horror Fright Fest event that you would probably find on Halloween is at Knott's Berry Farm. I keep forgetting to think about Knott's because I do spend more time at Knott's than I do at Magic Mountain sometimes. So.
Knott's Scary Farm is amazing. I love it. I've been to it a bunch of times. And prior to moving here to Orlando, Knott's Scary Farm is definitely by far the best, you know, non-independent, you know, park-based haunt. But I'm sorry, Halloween Horror Nights is where it is. Horror Nights here in Orlando, at least. Universal or Hollywood's a different story. It's not quite the same. But Horror Nights in Orlando is unbelievable, just incredible. And I'm just hoping, you know, that it continues that way. Hopefully we can get, you know, Horror Nights this year. And I'm really hoping that with Michael Aiello moving over to Epic Universe, which is great, and he's going to do amazing things there. Hopefully he's trained his team well to take over for him and keep Horror Nights going the way it's going. But just the level of detail, the theming, the way the park just gets transformed completely with the music and the lighting, the great specialty food, all the scare zones. It is over the top in a great way. So, but yeah, I would say, David, if Knott's Berry Farm was not landlocked the way it is, you know, residential all over it, where it could expand, Knott's could be one of the best parks in the world. And it is a great park. Don't get me wrong. It's just, it's small.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but so next
Dude,
question.
I have a really old Knott's Berry Farm like Matt. This is from '69. It has a crappy
Nice.
Wow.
like I'm trying to see what coaster's on there. The Mine Ride is still there, and that like might be it.
Wow.
Yeah,
I don't know how well you can see it. Is it like reflecting poorly?
It's hard to see because of the glass.
Mine Ride's like up there. Yeah. But yeah, that's like crazy. And Jungle Island. What is Jungle Island now?
I don't remember.
No, I don't know what that is. It's like what? Pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't know.
It sounds
Yeah,
like
but-
it sounds like it was a Tom Sawyer Island style, like Disney, probably for knots
Yeah.
back then.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, and it looks like it was upcharged, but I've never even knew about it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I didn't know about that either. Yeah. So it's probably a next question. Probably something we should just talk about to begin with, or in the intros, but kind of a little bit anticlimactic. But what is your home park? As part of the, we're doing this is so different followers can get to know who we are. But so for each of you, what do you consider your home park?
well, the closest park from my residence, because I live in Burbank, so literally like 5 minutes away is Universal Studios Hollywood. 5 minutes away from
Oh,
me.
cool.
So
Nice.
otherwise, Magic Mountain would be the next closest park, and then Knott's in Disney for me.
Okay, so if you had to choose one of them, what would you call your home park?
My home park would be Magic Mountain.
Okay, I was figuring it'd be either that or Disney. Okay. All right, Nicholas.
See, I just moved to Memphis area, so there's not much around here, but I lived up in Chicago for almost 20 years, so I'm going to say Six Flags Great America, because other than Disney, that's the park I went to the most, and I grew up there. I mean, I still remember Shockwave and all those different rides that are now defunct when they were still new and stuff, so I'll say Six Flags Great America up in Guerrero.
Yeah, Great America is one of the best Six Flags parks, in my opinion.
I think it's the second behind Magic Mountain. I mean,
Yep, I agree. I agree. So Austin and Mark. Austin, I already know your answer, but it's not for me. It's for everyone else. So.
Yeah, Universal Studios. The studio side is closer to me, I guess, if you want to get technical.
Right. Okay. All right, Mark. What do you consider your home park?
I don't know. I do go to Universal and Islands of Adventure a lot. I try to go to Busch Gardens like at least once every 3 weeks, maybe, to go check it out. Because I love that park a lot. That's my favorite park in Florida.
Busch Gardens, Tampa is what, like a 4-hour drive for you?
No, it's like 3 from Jacksonville, and then if I'm in Orlando, it's about like not even an hour.
Right.
An hour
Okay.
or so.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, the nearest park for me from where I live on the coast, here in Florida, and it's definitely my favorite park and resort here in Florida is Universal Orlando. I was talking it up so much earlier. I think it's just, I can get great dark rides, some of the best dark rides in the world there. I can get amazing coasters. Hagrid's is incredible. The food, the special events, get my favorite haunt, great, just everything. It's just, and it's the nearest park for me. It's 45 minutes away. So, let's assume the park's open this year. So what coaster, whether it be a new coaster for this year or is not a new coaster, could be an older coaster, what coaster that you've not been on, again, it could be an older one you just haven't been on yet, is the number one coaster that you want to ride the most? And it could be, somewhere far away, it could be another country, another continent, but what's your number one want to ride coaster you haven't been on yet?
I'm going to say for me, I'll do one overseas and one in the U.S., but I've always wanted to ride Nemesis. When I was younger, I had one of those America Greatest Roller Coaster Thrills Volume 2, like a 3D or whatever, and Nemesis was new, and just the theming on that ride and how it's underground and everything, and B&M. That would be my number one overall, but in the U.S., I'm going to have to say right now, probably Steel Curtain. I don't know. I just am fascinated by that ride. I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah, those are both good answers. Nemesis is like so unreal. I got lucky enough to go on it, and you take the monorail into the park and you look down on Nemesis, and it's this weird moment because Nemesis is so epic.
It's like a lot
to everybody.
Yeah,
it's just crazy.
Nice. So how about the rest of you guys? What's your number one coaster you haven't ridden yet you want to get on?
Well, this year I would have gone to Dollywood for the first time back in this last month, and I was really looking forward to riding Lightning Rod. I've heard so much about Lightning Rod, so much, and I am a big RMC person, but everyone I talk to or meet tells me that they've ridden Lightning Rod, that because there were times that ride would be closed if you go out to Dollywood. There was a part where it was closed for a majority of a year almost or something like that. But then they changed the trains on Lightning Rod. But I was really looking forward to that when I was going to go to Dollywood. So
nice, good answer.
I need
Nice.
to go on Lightning Rod too. It just looks like amazing.
It is. It's super short, but holy cow, it's a great ride.
Yeah.
Just to let you guys know, Eva said that she was planning on SeaWorld Orlando, and she really wants to ride Mako. And I will say, Mako was my second B&M coaster I got to experience, because the first one was Silver Bullet at Knott's Berry Farm. But when I went on Mako for the first time in Orlando, I was like, holy crap, this thing is amazing. And I went on that thing like 10 times in a row because the park was dead that day. So I was just marathoning that ride. But the first Giga was Fury 325 for me, and that's my number 2.
Nice. Yeah, Mako is amazing. It's my favorite B&M Hyper. So lucky to have it here, right here in Orlando. All right, so how about Austin and Mark? What would be your number 1 coaster you haven't been on yet?
All you Mark.
I would probably say I was supposed to get on Expedition G-Force this year in October, and that's a ride I've always wanted to ride. Like, it looks insane, like the airtime on it. I hear it's like El Toro and Sky Rush, so those are like my favorite coasters in the U.S. And then I was supposed to get on Flying Aces because Sky Rush is a ride I'm like obsessed with, and lots of people don't like it because of the restraint style and stuff, but I wanted to see how Flying Aces was going to be.
Nice.
This year. Yeah, so if the park's open by October, hopefully I'll get on it because I already have tickets, but
Here's open. Here's open. How about you, Austin?
It'd be Dododampa. Just for the launch. I don't know. It just looks totally crazy.
Nice. Yeah, it's insane.
I think it's 0 to. They like upped it. I don't know what 4 years
Yeah,
ago.
it got up. It had another dome.
It's like 0 to 111 now in like 1.6. I want to
That's
say.
insane. That's
Totally crazy. That's gotta be nuts.
Yeah, totally. For me, I got 2 answers. The first answer is Terran. That's how much I love Intamin Blitz coasters, and Terran's supposed to be the best of them. The theming looks amazing. How it's built into the terrain. And the other answer, again, Intamin. I'm all about Intamin as much as Austin's all about Mach. Is the new Dueling Dragons in China. That just looks so amazing. Yeah, that
looks so good. It never duels though, apparently. Like, if you go to it, it's not gonna duel.
That's unfortunate. That's too bad.
Apparently that park had like no attendance. And I know the Coaster Kings, they went to it, and like Roller Coaster Dream, Candace, she said that apparently the coasters, like, that park doesn't have a high attendance, and it's in a new city in China being developed, so they don't have like the it's not worth it, I guess, to run both sides at one time if there's no one in the park.
I see.
So
yeah,
so I heard like if you go on a weekday, they'll just run one side, and then I heard on weekends sometimes they'll run like the inverted side for half of the day, then the sit down side for the other half of the day.
Interesting. Well, I have a similar story from China when I went to Hefei Wanda, or now Hefei Sunan. Battle of Jungle King was only running one side. And at one point, I remember it's another part of the park, and I saw the other side empty train running. I'm like, ooh, they're getting it ready. They're just warming it up. And it ran once and then stopped. Then they didn't run it again. The park wasn't very busy that day, so I never got to duel on that. So, and that ride is painful. That's not a fun. It's unique as great as can be, but not fun to ride. All right. So the last question I have is, and this probably should have done at the beginning too, but tell the story. Or maybe there's a moment where you went from just enjoying parks and coasters to where you considered yourself an enthusiast. Like, what was that moment for you? Whoever wants to start.
I guess I'll share mine first. So, what got me to get on roller coasters was my friend challenged me to get on California Screamin' over at Disney's California Adventure. So that's how Coaster Challenge was created, because I was challenged to face my fears on finally getting on something and doing something exciting. So what really made me an enthusiast was after I had broken my fears, I wanted to ride the next big thing. And so my friends took me to Knott's Berry Farm. And I got to get on every coaster, but the last coaster of the night, and everyone said to wait at night, was the Accelerator over at Knott's. And when I went on that, that basically turned me into an enthusiast right away. I was like, okay, I'm in love. This is great. I can't wait to ride the next bigger one. If there's something faster than Accelerator, and sure enough, Top Thrill Dragster is my fastest coaster that I've been on so far. And but no, I just enjoy them. I love it. I love everything about coasters. I love reading up its history, his park history. You know, I try to talk to other people that have been around much longer than us. I try to pick their brains. You know, when I go to the parks, if I see an employee that's been in the park for 30 plus years, I try to pick his brain and see how much he knows the history and learn more about it. So
nice. All right, how about the rest of you guys?
Yeah, you have like the coolest story on your YouTube channel, David. Like your intro video is so interesting and well done. I really like it.
Thank you. I appreciate
that.
it.
That was well done. Yeah, that really was well done.
It's definitely, everybody has to watch that if you haven't seen it yet.
Thanks for mentioning that, Austin. I agree.
I don't know if you guys have seen but season 7 for Coaster Challenge is coming out not this Sunday, but starting next Sunday. My Midwest tour from last year, and I just updated my intro to the video and everything. I just showed it. I shared the intro as a preview on the group page of Coaster Challenge. So it's every season we're updating our videos, trying to make them more higher quality, trying to make them better, you know. So, but I appreciate everything, guys.
That's awesome. Thank you, Austin. All right, so how about the rest of you guys? What was that moment for you?
I'd say for me, when I was a kid, my parents took me to Kiddieland in Chicago, and they had the Little Dipper, which now got transported to Six Flags Great America. Thank God, because that was like a piece of me. But when I was a little kid, I just rode that thing, and then so I always loved them. But then when I went to college, I went to University of Illinois. When I finished there, that's when I moved down to Orlando, and I was going to go to Rosen and UCF and start going down that path. And I worked at Disney and Universal, and that's really when like things went crazy, where I just was driving all over the place, going on every coaster I can, traveling everywhere, and I think that's really when it stepped up was college time.
Nice. All right, how about you, Austin, Mark?
Austin.
Yeah. I remember being in elementary school, and that was like back at a time when like there was like one computer in the classroom, and I would always like sneak over and go on RCDB, and like Dueling Dragons was like definitely the coaster that I would always look at pictures of and like videos of. So like Dueling Dragons was like super important for me.
Nice. You sound a little like Raptor Joe right now.
Yeah, that's definitely the ride. And like I didn't even ride it for so long after that. I was like still scared of like going upside down.
Right. Yeah. Well, if you're in elementary school, yeah. All right, Mark, how about you? All those crazy trips you took with your parents and stuff. What's your story there?
So I'm from South Florida originally, and my grandparents always lived near Orlando and Deltona. So we would always drive to see them on weekends lots of the time, and we would always get annual passes. So I had passes to Universal growing up, to SeaWorld. So I would always go to those, but probably in 2011, I would say, because in 2011, I remember Daredevil Dive got announced at Over Georgia. And my dad went on a business trip to Over Georgia, and I was like pretty young at the time, probably like in middle school. And my dad was saying like, "Oh, we should go to Over Georgia. Like they're gonna open a new ride." And I had never been to that park, so I rode like Goliath, like that was my first hyper coaster. I rode Daredevil Dive, I rode all that. And then I remember from when I was younger too, like maybe even in 2006 and stuff, I went to Great Adventure the year El Toro opened. And I remember when I was real young, I was just watching El Toro going around. I was fascinated by it, and I think that like, I don't know, that I was obsessed with that ride for a long time, and I was afraid of it. And I think when I finally got on it, that really like got me into coasters. And then after we rode another one that year that I rode Daredevil Dive, after I rode Daredevil Dive, I saw that Cheetah Hunt was opening at Busch Gardens, Tampa, and that was near like Jacksonville, like 3 hours away. So I was like, oh, why don't we go check that one out? So we went to Busch Busch Gardens that year. I rode Cheetah Hunt. I got on like Montu, Sheikra, all those for the first time, so it was a good year. Yeah.
Nice.
Andrew, are those your dogs?
Yeah, that was sorry. I tried to go on mute there. Yeah, sorry about that. I tried to go on mute there. And Eos she terrorizes me when I'm sitting in my desk, like when I'm working and stuff. Every couple hours, she's begging for food. So, for my answer,
My dog is
I
so
always
much better
liked.
behaved.
Oh look, yeah, oh he always is. Hey Ed.
Hey, Ed, say hi everybody.
So for me, I always liked coasters as a kid. Like when I was 4 years old, I went on Space Mountain. It was my first coaster here at Magic Kingdom. But the turning point for me was in senior year in high school. We convinced our physics teacher that we needed to do a science day at Six Flags Great Adventure. I grew up in New Jersey. So, and I'd been to Great Adventure before, but I was afraid of looping coasters. I was like 17. And so I'm there with my friends. We made the trip happen. And it was like the whole senior class went. It was a joke. It was awesome. We didn't do any science at all when we were there. So we got there, and the first coaster my friends that wanted to go on was Great American Scream Machine, which was just a couple of years old at that point. And I was looking at it, and I was like, oh my God, how many freaking inversions, how many loops does this thing have? And peer pressure kicked in, and I went on it. And as soon as I got off that ride, I said to my friends, like, okay, where are all the other looping coasters here? I want to ride all of them. And I was born as an enthusiast. And a quick footnote to that, I remember not that day, but shortly thereafter, as I was graduating high school, I got a season pass, my first ever annual pass for Six Flags. Went there many times during the summer. And I remember later on that summer, Nicholas, you'll love this story. There was this, like, again, keep in mind, this is like early 90s. There was this little booth set up with TVs inside of it, monitors inside, and the Batman logo on it. And it was showing, I'm guessing, what the one at Great America, I think was the first, if I remember correctly. Whichever one had been built before the one at Great Adventure, she was showing actual video from that. And it was showing this amazing new coaster concept was coming that no one had ever seen before. And I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to ride this next year. This looks amazing. And I love B&M Inverts, and Batman was my first there. Great Adventure was amazing. So that's my story there. So that's all the questions I had. If you guys want to keep talking, that's great. I unfortunately have to get off here. I cannot talk anymore. So I've got other stuff I got to take care of. But this was really fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did.
Well, before we go, I'm going to ask just one last question for all, just to show people out there. So what kind of masks are you guys having to wear, when you go out in public? A friend of mine was really nice enough to make me a custom one that was kind of neat. It's like blue on one side, green on the other, so, but it actually works out pretty well. But I was just curious if anybody had any like creative mask, like, has anyone made a roller coaster pattern mask or something? I haven't seen anything out there in the community yet. Like on
Energylandia is like selling custom ones, which is pretty crazy.
Oh yeah, they are.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some cool stuff on like Etsy that we might not even know about, but I don't have anything.
Yeah, I think there is. I saw like something come across Instagram the other day. There is something.
Or Redbubble, I think.
Yeah.
I think Redbubble now you can put your concept art on a mask, so you can basically have anything you want on a mask.
Because
Chip Earth.
Oh yeah.
Really quick, guys, I just wanted to read out we had quite a few comments, and let's see. Eva says, well, she kind of joking. She goes, I'm giving free rides on the witch's wheel right now. She made a comment saying, I've always loved coasters since I was young, but because of my dad, and after my dad died to ALS, I decided to launch Wildcat Coasters in honor of him, to share my love with everyone. I think that's really
cool. Hey, nice to meet you. I see you on like Twitter all the time.
Yeah, Eva's great. She's really nice.
Yeah.
Hi, Eva.
Yeah, she's I'm trying to look at all the comments, but we had like 29 comments during our live feed, which is pretty good.
Nice,
So,
nice.
yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, if you guys want to keep talking, great. I got to get going. It was awesome hanging out with you. Hopefully, we'll all be able to meet up at the park sometime near future. So.
Well, I got to go as well, guys. I want to say I really appreciate. I hope the 5 of us can do this again, and maybe we can add a few more coaster enthusiasts to join us. You know, maybe like 2 more. But I got to go because my family's going to be here in a half an hour. They want to celebrate my birthday, which is tomorrow, but they want to celebrate it today.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Today was the day we were supposed to do a surprise party for you. Damn it. God, this stupid virus. Yeah, happy birthday, David.
I appreciate it. I mean, I talked to Jennifer Gazelle about it. She was so pissed that you told.
Oh, no.
She was so pissed. But she understood, you know, this virus really stopped everything. This virus really stopped everybody's plans. I mean, this year for me is really shot. So I guess my goal is get all my bills to zero this year and then just make big plans in 2021, you know?
Yeah, in a way, it kind of works out. Remember, David, I was telling you, saying, hey, you should come here with me, go to Ohio for the media day that obviously didn't happen yet. And the way this is working out, I mean, I hate this virus is killing people. It's awful, so don't take me the wrong way. But this probably was no better time for me to move into my house because there's nothing else to do. So I can do all my projects and all my home smart tech and getting all the furniture going. And I've got my grill in today. I'm building that after this. And, you know, I'm fortunate, I guess, in that way because I'm not missing out. It's not like, oh, I want to go to parks right now. I got to work in my home. I nothing else to do. Might as well work in my home. So.
Yeah. But yeah, guys, I will say once we're able to get back to the parks, I think the first trip I want to do is I want to get out to Florida and spend 2 weeks down there and explore everything. So
definitely. We'll definitely.
Because the last time I was in Florida was 2017, but I only went to Disney, Universal, and SeaWorld. I didn't get to go out and see like Fun Spot Orlando or Busch Gardens, Tampa, stuff like that. So, or Legoland, which I know a lot of you have seen it, but I still want to go. I'm a Lego fanatic. So
it's a very pretty park.
Yeah. I haven't even been to Legoland in San Diego yet. You know, my family's all gone, but they haven't taken the one man that loves Legos, you know? So, you know, but anyway, guys, I really appreciate it. But I know that when I leave, it's going to end the meeting. So let's try and do this again. And I really enjoyed this one. And by the way, I was recording this meeting, so I'm hoping to edit it and hopefully have it on a YouTube link where you guys can share it. So.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah, let us know. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
All right, guys.
Thanks,
you guys have a good weekend.
I'll talk to you later. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for checking out our episode. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below here, and make sure to give us a big thumbs up on this video right here. And don't forget to hit our next video, which is right here. Just go ahead and click on it, and we hope you enjoy it.